I'm going to try to do 3 talking activities with you in just half an hour. It might be a little bit tight, but just 3 things I do in my classes, ways of warming up. You can do this when you have new members in your club in ESS, or you can do this if you like go on some other group picnic or something, or you can just not do it. It's sort of your choice. But some of the things are things I do in my class. The final activity, the third one, is the most complex, and it has a more specific relationship to debating also. The first one is just a get to know you activity, and it involves 3 simple questions. So I'm going to ask you, if you want to get to know somebody, what's the first question you usually ask?
Name.
Right. What's your name? And that's what this is based on. It's really, 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 really simple, but it's a good thing to do in classes, I think. I'm going to have you ask 3 questions to each other. What's your name? And then we actually did this last night, sort of. What does your name mean? Because, like, I don't really know what it means, but these Chinese characters usually have some kind of meaning, right? And how did you get your name? So 3 pretty simple questions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Even number including me. I will participate. We're going to come up. We're going to make 2 lines facing each other so everyone has a partner. You're going to ask your partner those 3 questions. Right? Makes sense?
Yes.
And then, like, you guys, you already know each other's names, but maybe you'll learn something interesting if you don't know what the name means, or maybe there is an interesting story behind the name. Maybe. So I'll just go first as a demonstration, and you 8 people can do this. You guys can ask me. Ask me the first question. Yeah.
What's your name?
It's Peter Kipp. Second one.
What does your name mean?
It doesn't really mean anything, actually. Western people are somewhat impoverished in that respect, right? We don't have specific meanings associated with names usually.
Peter is in the Bible?
Yeah, but my parents weren't religious,
Really?
so they just liked the name Peter. They thought it was normal, not too strange, right? If you have a really strange name, people like tease you and make jokes. I have a middle name, Harold, Peter Harold. It's on my passport. And so that name is sort of a somewhat significant name. It's whichever side it is. Yeah, Peter, it says Peter Harold. So Harold is a name in my father's family. His name is Harold, and his father's name was Harold, and his grandfather's name was Harold. And they decided to break that chain, but in my middle name they gave me the sort of the traditional family name for kids in his family. So yeah, the middle name has a little bit of a meaning. Otherwise it doesn't. So okay, third question.
How did you get your name?
Yeah, again, no special story. My parents liked the name Peter. They thought, well, we don't really want to keep naming kids Harold all the time, but we want to remember that tradition, so they put it in the middle. And then Kipp is just my family name. That doesn't mean anything either, as far as I know. Okay? All right, so you 8. Everybody come up. Anyway, but this is the one that we're going to actually talk about. This one is like sort of training for debate in some ways. The purpose of this activity is to work on your speaking fluency, but also to work on your calmness, like your calm attitude. Because when you're speaking in a debate, sometimes you need to be very calm, right? Sometimes you get nervous, you don't really know what to say, or you're struggling for the words. But you need to stay calm to make a good impression on the judges and to be a successful debater. So this activity is designed to help you with calmness, but it's also just sort of a fun activity. And I guess we can read this description first that I wrote by hand, and then we can read sort of something that might give you an idea or inspire you in the newspaper column. So Toastmaster speeches. Let's read together. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, go. Toastmasters is a club in the United States which is dedicated to the art, yes, it's an art, of public speaking. One activity Toastmaster clubs use for practice and entertainment is a 1-minute impromptu speech where the speaker must use one word as many times as possible. The speaker cannot pause or use expressions like or well in his or her speech. Of course, the winner is the one who uses his or her word the most without violating the rules. Good luck. So let's just read this example. There's a letter to Dear Abby, who's like a person who answers people's letters and publishes advice in the paper, right? It's called an advice column. But somebody wrote, like, just asking her to publish this interesting, sort of funny essay. And this essay relates to this activity, so I put them together on one page. So let's read. The letter says, I'll just read the letter to you, and then we can read the answer all together. Dear Abby, some time ago you published an item on the word up, how frequently it is used and how comical it sometimes sounds. Will you please publish it again? Mrs. F.M. Drummer, Knoxville, Tennessee. Dear Mrs. Drummer, your letter was a real upper. Many thanks. Here's the piece. What's the title? What's the title of the piece? Title is What's Up? Right? Dear Abby is the title of the whole column, but there are several letters in the column. So the piece is called What's Up? It's like a short essay. First paragraph, all together. Are you ready? Go. We've got a 2-letter word we use constantly that may have more meanings than any other. The word is up. It's easy to understand up, meaning toward the sky or toward the top of a list. But when we waken, why do we wake up? At a meeting, why does a topic come up? And why are participants said to speak up? Why are officers up for election? And why is it up to the secretary to write up a report? The little word is really not needed, but we use it anyway. We brighten up a room, light up a cigar, polish up the silver, lock up the house, and fix up the old car. At other times, it has special meanings. People stir up trouble, line up for tickets, work up an appetite, think up excuses, and get tied up in traffic. To be dressed is one thing, but to be dressed up is special. It may be confusing, but a drain must be opened up because it is stopped up. We open up a store in the morning and close it up in the evening. We seem to be all mixed up about up. In order to be up on the proper use of up, look up the word in the dictionary. In one desk-sized dictionary, up takes up half a column, and the listed definitions add up to about 40. If you're up to it, you might try building up a list of the many ways in which up is used. It may take up a lot of your time, but if you don't give up, you may wind up with 1,000. Okay, how many times did they use the word up? Many. I can't even count them. It's up. I'm up to my head in up, right? So that's the activity. What you have to do is take one word, and in 1 minute, you have to use it as many times as you can. And then the winner is the person who uses it the most times. So there we go. My stopwatch is ready. I'll go first, just because I think it's really fun to do this, and then somebody else can go next, and then we'll split up into 2 groups, and each group everybody can take a turn. So somebody give me a word. It has to be like a noun or a verb, not like or the or something like that. I guess it can be an adjective or an adverb. Up is like an adverb, I guess, right? But noun, verb, adjective, or adverb. Get? All right. Give me 5 seconds to think. If you want to get ahead in life, then one thing people say you have to do is get a job. But I don't think they really get the point, because in our society, people have gotten this idea that you have to like get some kind of material wealth, or, oh, are you keeping track, by the way, of how many times I use get? Or they think you have to get some kind of advantage over some other people or compete to get some kind of prize. But I don't think that's true. If you really want to get something out of your life, you should just get satisfaction, because satisfaction is the best thing to get. Some people like to get presents, some people like to get awards, and some people like to get prestige. But if you get satisfaction with yourself, then that's the best thing to get. Once upon a time, I thought I could get everything. And I thought that I could be both successful and rich and intelligent all at the same time. But as I get older, I realize that I don't really get everything I want. I just have to be satisfied with what I really do get. So get busy and get to know yourself. Thank you. How many times did I say get?
Too many to count.
Too many? Not that many. Maybe 10, 12, 13. Okay, that's what you got to do. I'm not in the competition, but you guys are. Somebody else who wants to demonstrate. How about you? So I'm going to give a brief introduction right now about debating, and then we're going to see a demonstration debate, so you can really see and understand exactly what debating is all about. So, just in case I need chalkboard space, I'll put this here, but I think most of it's on the slides. I'm going to answer 3 questions in this talk. First question is, what is debate? And second question is, why debate? And third question is, how can I prepare to watch a debate? What do you think? Which one of these 3 questions is the most important question? Which one is most important?
Why debate?
Actually, that's not the one I expected you to say. But maybe for you, it is the most important. Why debate? Oh, it seems like such a difficult job. Maybe I can convince you. I don't know. The topic I'm going to talk about most is this one, how to prepare to watch the debate. But I want to say a little about this, what is debate and why debate, because I think debate is really, really good. I think it's a wonderful activity. And so I just want to do the first one and the second one. This is like PR, public relations, giving you like some advertising in favor of debate. Okay, what is debate? Passion. Passion for saying something. Knowledge about all kinds of things. Global issues and local issues and student issues and campus issues and national issues and international issues and social issues and economic issues and more. One thing you learn when you start debating is like, oh God, I don't know anything. There's so much stuff going around in the world around me, and I wish I knew. I see some topic, and like the other team, they seem to know everything about it. I don't know anything. It's sometimes very humbling. It's like you feel small. But it's also sort of exciting because you get to know more about the world. What else is debate? Friendship. Friendship, because you have to work as a team. You can't do it by yourself. And because you and the other team have to work together. You have to listen to each other. Some people think debating is just like fighting. It's not true. In fighting, it's like, you know, oh, you're bad. No, you're bad. No, you're bad. But you borrowed my book and never gave it back to me. But you called my sister ugly. But it just goes on and on, right? That's fighting. But in debating, you actually have to listen and talk and make sense. You have to listen to what the other side says and say something logical. So you get to be friends with the other team. Like you fight, but afterwards you shake hands, and that's really good. Why debate? Well, reason number 1, self-expression. This guy Logan is twice the Asian champion, and he was also like a quarterfinalist in the World Championship. And he taught debating in Korea for a little while. He's very expressive and very funny, too. He's one of the best debaters in Asia. And why else debate? Every time I make this kind of a talk about debate, I think of new reasons. So improved English is one. Because when you're listening and talking and cooperating with your partner and writing down notes all at the same time, it really makes your mind totally focused on English. It's not like studying from a book. It's much more lively. And as an English teacher, I think debate's maybe the best way to learn English. And improved logic, because you have to make arguments that connect to each other. And improved teamwork, because you have to work together with your partner, because your partner has to connect with your arguments. You can't just make different arguments, or no one will believe you. If your partner says, we should, well, our topic today is make a nuclear bomb in Japan. So we should make a nuclear bomb because it will make us safer. And then you say, well, a nuclear bomb is not safe, but it will make us more proud of our country. But you and your partner are saying different things. That's not good. You have to agree, right? And then improve knowledge, because you realize like all the different things you need to know more about. And next time you look at the newspaper, maybe you really pay attention because it relates to something you debated about. And improved research skills, because again, when you're thinking about preparing for a debate tournament, or you know that there's a topic you don't know about, but you know it's a big topic or a big issue, it helps you research. And improved civic education. Civic means the things you do to participate in society. So that's a big part of debating. In fact, in the history of Japan, the American soldiers forced Japanese college students to debate after World War II. Why did they do that? Because Japan used to be like a monarchy and a dictatorship and a military government, not a civic government where people debated issues and voted for candidates and so on. So they wanted to make at least the college students, the sort of smart people, the thinking people, learn how to debate, learn how to make logical arguments, not just have one person grab all the power. And in Korea also. Korea was a dictatorship, now it's a democracy. Debating is becoming important. I don't know if you guys watch the news. In Korea, sometimes in the parliament, people start fighting. Fist fighting. Do you see that? Do you know? You guys know, I'm sure. Or they, like one guy, he threw a tear gas into the parliament to try and stop some kind of legislation. But Korean people don't like that. Like we think our country should be a little more calm and reasonable. So debating is important in Korea too. Improved motivation to study. Again, it's all sort of connected with the whole knowledge thing. And honor, glory, and fabulous prizes. Sometimes. These two people we will meet this afternoon. These are the two champions, the EFL champions of the world.
Wow.
Of the whole world, right? There were 400 teams competing, not all EFL teams, but they were the top EFL team. They beat teams from Venezuela and from China and from Serbia and Croatia and all other countries to become EFL champion and get a fancy trophy. And once in a while, if you keep debating, you might get a fabulous prize anyway. And make friends. So lots of good reasons to debate. That's why, he told me. That's why. One of those reasons somewhere. Maybe you can find a reason. Okay, so how do I watch a debate? Well, the first thing you have to do is think about the motion. In a debate tournament, the motion always gets announced before the debate, so all the people there, including the spectators, the audience, they have a chance to think about it. The judges have a chance to think about it. A lot of times the judges will talk with other judges like, oh, what do you think the debaters are going to say? What's this about? So it's good. It's part of the education. You can talk about the topic with other people. And this is where I have a handout for you, because in a minute we're going to practice thinking about the motion, and I have some guidelines right here. Second, all together, read. Ready? Go.
Choose a side, cheer for.
Right. If you have your friends debating, cheer for them. Or if you believe one side or the other side, cheer for that team. Or just cheer for both sides if you want. 3.
Get ready to take notes.
Right. On the back of this paper there is a place where you can take notes about the demonstration debate, so you can be following it more closely. 4.
Enjoy the debate.
And 5.
Think about why.
So this is what we're going to be doing today. We're going to start with number 1. Think about the debate. Or think about the motion. And I'm going to give everybody one of these because it has these same directions, so you don't have to copy them down. They're going to be right here with you all the time. We're going to do this. We're going to think about the motion together. So let's read the rules. Rules for 1-minute debates. Are you ready? Everybody ready?
Yes.
Oh, good. Yes. Okay. Number 1.
Find the partner.
Affirmative, negative, also known as government and opposition. Right. Different countries, they call it different things. Affirmative, negative, government, opposition, pro, con. What else do they call it? Proposition, opposition. Yeah, anyway, that's the first step. Do that right now. Everybody find a partner. You guys partners? Okay, everybody has a partner. Decide who's affirmative and who's negative. This is a strange thing about debate. You don't get to choose your side. You don't even know, well, you do know the topic, but you don't get to choose your side. You have to take one side or the other side. That's good. It's good because it makes you think. Like the motion is something you, I totally don't believe that. This house thinks kimchi tastes bad. No, kimchi tastes good. Everybody knows that. But if you're on the negative or on the affirmative side, you have to argue kimchi tastes bad, right? That's a silly example, but still, it makes you think. It really stretches your mind. That's a good thing, actually. Okay, all the people who are affirmative, raise your hand. Affirmative. Government. Affirmative. Okay. That means you have to say yes to the motion. All the people who are negative, raise your hand. Okay, that means you have to say no. All right? Second, look at the motion on the slide. Third, everyone has 1 minute to think, and then 1 minute to make your arguments. So I'll be the timer for everybody. I'll say, okay, everybody start thinking, and then in 1 minute I'll say, everybody stop. And then I'll say affirmative person. The first affirmative speaker is called the... What's the first speaker called for the affirmative team, for the government team? Called the... You should have learned this. You didn't teach them? What's the first speaker called for affirmative team?
Prime Minister.
Prime Minister, right? So I'll say, okay, all the prime ministers, ready, go, right? So everyone has 1 minute to think, 1 minute to make your arguments. Affirmative team first, negative team second. Read all together. Ready, go. All pairs talk at the same time, but only one partner should be talking. This is a debate, not a discussion. It's a debate. It's like a speech. Only one person can be talking. If I say, I think Japan should have a nuclear bomb because it needs more power in the world, and then you can't interrupt me and say, but wait, isn't power like just sort of bad? Like, shouldn't we be peaceful? You can't interrupt like that. You have to wait till my minute's over. Then you get your minute, right? So that's the rule, all right? So we're going to do the same motion that you're going to hear the debate on. I want you to think. But before we do it, how to say it. This is also on your paper. So if you are ever sort of lost, you can look on this paper. But this is important because if you never debated before, like, oh, how do I get started? If you're affirmative, what's the first thing you say? The motion we're debating is, this house believes Japan should have a nuclear bomb. And then second, it is an important issue because, and you explain a little bit. Why is it an important issue? Well, you have to think of some reason. Why is it important? Like, if the motion is this house believes kimchi tastes bad, I don't know, maybe it's important actually. Korea these days, it's trying to promote Korean cooking all around the world. So this is an important issue because now Korea is trying to expand its cultural influence in the world by promoting kimchi. But if kimchi tastes bad, it will fail. But we need to resolve this. Okay? And I strongly... Because, right? So that's how you get started. If you're negative, this is how you get started after the affirmative person goes. Number 1, go. You said that, but your argument isn't persuasive because. And then, I also oppose this idea because. Give your own argument. So you have 1 minute to think, right? So you should think of one argument. If you're in favor, if you're affirmative, think of one argument in favor. If you're negative, think of one argument against. And then we're going to go. Right? Like if I'm in favor of kimchi tastes bad, I say, oh, kimchi tastes bad because everybody knows that like cabbage is just a vegetable that peasants eat. It's not a highly refined vegetable. And kimchi is made of cabbage, therefore automatically kimchi tastes bad. It makes you think that you're a peasant, not a fancy and wealthy person. And so then the negative person said, you said kimchi tastes bad because it's made of cabbage and that's peasant food. But your argument really doesn't persuade us because everybody knows now that the peasant food is actually better for you and more healthy, and not only that, it has like an earthy taste. These days, people are tired of eating things like sugar and refined foods. They want to get back to their roots, so they actually like peasant food, and it gives them a good image, not a bad image. So you're wrong. And I also oppose this idea because there are many varieties of kimchi, and you never even mentioned that. And so even if one person doesn't like one kind, then the other ones, maybe they like those. So kimchi is good. Usually negative person starts by rebutting affirmative. And then gives their own idea. But you could do it the other way. Sometimes people do it the other way. Like, we really think kimchi tastes good because, and then also you said that, but that doesn't make sense. It's not logical because. You could do it, you could reverse, it's possible. Yeah, okay? Okay, anyway, so we're going to do it for the real motion. Before you hear the debate, I want you all to debate this motion for 1 minute with each other. Right? Let's read the motion together. Are you ready? Go. This house believes Japan should possess a nuclear bomb. You have 1 minute to prepare your speech, starting now. Write down a couple notes on the paper. One reason at least why yes, Japan should have a nuclear bomb, or no, it should not. Right. So the second step, you have to choose a side to cheer for. And maybe we can almost start setting up the debate room. So now I'd like to introduce the 4 debaters who are going to be debating today. In the government team as Prime Minister, we have Ota Kosuke, or Kosuke Ota. Come on up. And his partner as member of government will be Adachi Takaaki. Okay, and then in opposition, going against them, we have leader of opposition, Iwata Naoya. And also his partner is member of opposition, Oda Yamato. Great. So anyway, these are going to be our 4 debaters. Now, maybe you guys don't know any of them, but you have to choose a side, just for fun. So, like half and half. Like half of you move over to this side, like move your seats and support them. And all you guys over there, you can stay right there and you support them, okay? If you want to change your side, you can change, but you have to sit on the other side now. So cheering is actually an important part of the debating. So when these guys say something clever, oh, you too? Yeah, sure. When these guys say something clever, or when they make a very good point, what are you guys going to say? How are you going to cheer for them? I mean, nobody knows? Okay, well, in debating, it comes from the British Parliament. In the British Parliament, when they like what they hear, they say, "Hear, hear." And then they can pound their desks. "Hear, hear." Okay, practice. Ready, get set, go. Okay, good. Now, when they say something clever, or make a logical argument, you guys have to do the same thing. Ready? Go. Hear, hear. Okay. Now, if they say something really horrible, like, Yes, and if Japan has a nuclear weapon, we can destroy all our enemies. Like the Koreans, the Chinese, the Americans. I hate all those guys. And then you guys can say, shame. You shouldn't say shame very much. You don't do negative cheering very much. But if they say something really outrageous, you can say shame. Just practice once, okay? Ready? Get set, go.
Shame.
Okay. Likewise, if they say something really outrageous, like, well, we don't need a nuclear weapon. If China wants to attack us, that's fine. We can surrender because, China is better than Japan. And you guys say? Shame, right? Okay, so if the other team says something outrageous, you say shame. But usually try to cheer for your own team. Or when they finish their speech anyway, cheer for the team. Okay? That's what you should do. So I chose a side for you to cheer for, but that way we can have some cheering going on. Okay, and so get ready to take notes. That's the third step. On the back of your paper, you have all the speakers already written down, and you have some space to take notes on what each one says. And then enjoy the demonstration debate. That this house believes that Japan should possess a nuclear weapon. I think, is that? Right, we have to think about who won after that, but I think we're ready to enjoy the demonstration debate. So I'm going to be the chairperson. I'll be calling the speakers up, and I'll be keeping time for them, and so on. And you guys are the audience, and cheer for your team. All right? And afterwards, we'll discuss a little bit. Okay, great. So, as the chair of this demonstration debate, I call this house to order, and I'd like to welcome both teams. So, in government, we have Ota Kosuke and Adachi Takaaki. And in opposition, we have Iwata Naoya and Oda Yamato. The motion today before the House is this House believes that Japan should possess a nuclear bomb. We now call on the Prime Minister to open this debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and hello everyone in this House. Now under the status quo, America's army stays in Japan, and Japan is defended by America. Their military power is very big and strongly deterrent power is nuclear bomb, because the weapon has strong destructive power. Since this weapon in Japan, other foreign nations difficult to attack to Japan. However, the United States do not always protect Japan, and also they do not protect it eternally. If we lose this deterrence power, we cannot protect Japan's citizens. This situation is very problematic. So, in order to protect Japan, we strongly support this motion. Then, let me define this motion. This house means Japan. And what is nuclear power bomb? It is what kind of weapon with using nuclear material. This is a proposal from the government side. Let me we the government side strongly support this motion. So to support this motion, we have two arguments. First argument is national defense, and second argument is equal position. So I'll explain one by one. Our first argument is national defense. So now under the status quo, Japan is protected by America, as I said before. So they equip their military and weapons to Japan as deterrence power. And most effective deterrence power is nuclear bomb. If we use this this weapon, the area will destroy like Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and no other weapon has such power. So since other foreign nuclear bomb has strong power. Since other foreign nations fear of this weapon, so they are difficult to attack to Japan. That's just the reason of deterrence power. However, as I said before, America does not always defend Japan because they do not use this weapon when there are possibility that America is attacked. And American citizens hope that, and now American citizens hope that America should give their military power from Japan because it takes much cost. Because it takes much cost to keep their military power in Japan. So then, what will happen if we lose this deterrence power? Other foreign nations can after we lose this weapon, other foreign nations can attack to Japan more easily. So it means that it will cause a war. This is very problematic. So then what will happen if so on the other hand, after taking this plan, we can protect Japan. We can protect Japanese citizens for ourselves. Because we can use this weapon whenever we want to do. And do not lose this weapon for eternally. It means that we can protect our land forever. That's why we strongly support this motion. Then let's go on to the second argument. Our second argument is equal position. Now under the status quo, Japan is protected by using America's military power. However, it means that the position of Japan is lower than that of America, because the Japanese government cannot deny to the demand from America's government. When America requires to Japan, if he said no, America don't protect to Japan. So it is problematic. However, we can also solve this problem after we possess our own nuclear bomb. In short, we can negotiate with America at equality position. So we do not need to obey to America after taking this plan. Why this point is important? Because in order for Japanese citizens, we accept the require from America, even it is disadvantage for Japan now. But after taking this plan, we can negotiate not for America. We can negotiate with America in equal position. So in summary, now status quo, we cannot protect Japan for ourselves. So, but after taking this plan, we can defend our country for ourselves. And after taking this plan, we can negotiate with America at equal position. For all these reasons, we strongly believe we strongly support this motion. Thank you.
Great. So the Prime Minister spoke for 6 minutes and 51 seconds. And if you didn't know it, after 1 minute, I could ask a question. But they didn't do that. That's why I did this at 1 minute. And at 6 minutes, they can't ask questions. So same thing in the Leader of Opposition speech. Right, anyway, thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. And we now call the Leader of the Opposition. And you guys should say, "Hear, hear." Cheer for your European. Okay, that's good.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and hello everyone in this house. We strongly believe that the status quo is enough to protect Japan because America's help is so strong and America works as a deterrent. However, after taking this plan, American people might think that if Japan has a nuclear bomb, so we don't have to protect Japan anymore. So if some very big trouble, emergency happens in Japan, America might not help Japan. So Japan has to protect its land using its own army. However, we strongly believe that Japan will never use a nuclear bomb because in the after the war which happened in 1945 happened, no countries have used nuclear weapons. So Japan will never use a nuclear weapon. So Japan has to protect its own citizens using other military forces, such as missiles or something like that. If these situations happens, Japan has to protect its land with usual military forces without America's help. Do you think Japan can protect Japanese citizens? We don't believe so. And for these reasons, we are proud to oppose. First, let me refute what the previous speaker said. The previous speaker said that after taking this proposal, Japan can negotiate with other nations in equal positions, but we don't believe so. Japan will remain disadvantageous when they interact with other nations because the size of Japan is pretty small and the population of Japan concentrates in urban areas. So if only one nuclear bomb was dropped on Japan in the urban areas, Japanese millions of thousands of millions of people will die. Compared with that, countries whose size is big, for example China or Russia or something like that, is a very strong country because the size of these nations is pretty big, and one atomic bomb cannot cause a catastrophic damage to the nations. For example, Japan is pretty weak because Japanese size is pretty small and the population concentrates on urban areas. So we believe Japan will remain disadvantageous position even after taking this plan. So their argument doesn't stand. And next, let me move on to our argument. Our first argument is the meaning of Japan not possessing nuclear weapon. As you know, Japan is the only country in the world on which nuclear bombs were dropped. And Japanese people know the tragedy and cruelty of nuclear weapons. So if Japan insists on the unnecessity of nuclear weapons, it is pretty persuasive, and a lot of nations can be influenced by Japanese people's insistment. So we strongly believe that if Japan quit insisting on the unnecessity of nuclear weapons, other nations might think, oh, Japan finally possesses a nuclear weapon, so we should also have a nuclear weapon because Japan admits to have a nuclear weapon. So now we strongly believe that Japan works to prevent the dispersal of nuclear weapons. So after taking this plan, as I said, a lot of nations might think we should also have nuclear weapons, and the number of nations who have nuclear weapons will increase after taking this plan. So if the more and more nations, which include developing nations, have a nuclear weapon, what will happen. In developed nations, we have a strong, high technology to protect the nuclear bombs. However, in the developing nations, the security around nuclear weapons is very vulnerable and weak. So we strongly believe that the possibility of some people getting the nuclear weapon is higher after taking this plan. So nuclear bombs might pass into the hands of terrorists or spies after taking this plan. The government side said it is unrealistic, but we have to assume such a situation, because if this situation happens, it will cause a very big damage on the whole world. So we have to assume that situation. So we never have to disperse nuclear weapons anymore. So we strongly believe that Japan should keep consisting on the unnecessity of nuclear weapons. So so let me go to the next argument. We strongly believe that, as I said, America might not help Japan after taking this plan, because American people say, oh, Japan can protect itself by using a nuclear bomb. So what will happen? Now Japanese self-defense force protect Japan. However, after taking this proposal, Japan has to protect its land without America's help. So we strongly believe that self-defense force will change into real troops, real armies. So, of course, becoming a soldier will accompany a risk of death, because they have to fight against other nations, and it accompanies a risk of death. So a lot of soldiers will escape and don't want to be a soldier, and then Japan will suffer from the shortage of soldiers after taking the ground. So Japan might have to force some citizen to become a soldier, conscription, we believe. And so some of you might be a soldier, and it is a pretty dangerous situation, and government shouldn't allow such a situation. For these reasons, we are proud to oppose. Thank you.
The opposition leader spoke for 7 minutes and 24 seconds. And we thank you very much for your speech. You guys should be going here. Great. Okay, so we now call the member of government to continue for his side.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hello, everyone. I'm a little nervous, but I'm proud because I can speak here in front of you, in here. And opposition side said that now is enough, and this plan causes more big risk, but I don't think so. And because opposition side talk about negotiation, but they said their speech, they think America is they will think about America would protect Japan forever, but Japan is not America. America don't need protect every other countries. That's why sometimes America army go back their own home country. Suddenly, we don't have a way to protect their own country. That's why we need the way of protecting their own power. That's why we need this plan.
Last point.
Okay.
Do you think Japan will use a nuclear bomb if other countries attack Japan?
Well, if we need it, sometimes if we need it, we will use its power. But if we use it, this way is only by counterattack, only by protect our own country. So let me move my argument. As my partner said before, Japan, now under status quo, Japan was protected by America. And Japan has only small armies. It makes one big risk and one big trouble. First is a big risk. Now under status quo, Japan is all protected by America, but no one prove this America protect Japan forever. No one can. So if and now under status quo, America itself has a problem about the burden, about the money, about the economic. That's why many American citizens said we should cut the burden. This burden means that the American army stay in Japan. That's why we can't believe America protect. We can't believe that America stay Japan forever, America protect Japan forever. That's why we need the way to protect our own country. And second is and let me move my second argument. My second argument is a big trouble. Do you know about the Henoko? Now under status quo, this island has caused many trouble by American armies, and many people living Okinawa and especially living around the American armies want to solve these problems, such as noise or such as the trouble by some trouble by American soldier and so on. But now under status quo, Japan has a low position because now under status quo, Japan was protected by America. So Japan needs American army's power. We can't attack the American army's trouble. So many people living in Okinawa was harmed by these troubles. But after taking this plan, we can get enough power to next eight in the America. So we can reduce this trouble because we can reduce the American army itself. Of course, Japan's burden is little higher, but now under status quo, many miserable citizens was harmed by the American trouble between America and Japan. That's why the government must protect these miserable citizens. Government law is protect every citizen, not only urban area citizens, but also should protect the Okinawa people living Okinawa and living around the American armies. That's why we government have to try to solve this problem That's why this plan. That's why we strong. That's why we proud this plan. Thank you for listening.
Okay, the member of government spoke for 6 minutes and 45 seconds. And thank you very much for your speech. We now call the member of opposition.
Good morning. Sorry. Good morning, everyone. First, I have two rebuttals to what the previous speaker said. The previous speaker said that the America can protect. The nuclear bomb can protect Japan from the attack from the other countries like China or North Korea. However, this is not true. As my partner said before, again and again, the nuclear bomb don't have the nuclear deterrent. So even if we have a nuclear bomb, then we can't protect the Japan from the attack of the China or North Korea. And I move to my second rebuttals. The previous speaker said that the people around the airbase, American airbase, is miserable. However, if please imagine, there is a nuclear bomb around us, it is more miserable. It's more miserable situation. If the nuclear bomb explodes around us, a lot of people will die. We have to such a miserable situation. Then I move to my argument. My argument's main point is that the Japanese society will suffer loss and they receive the disadvantage. I'll show you the process and mechanism in my speech, and I have two reasons. The first point is the economical damage occurred by the demonstration and riot, and the second one is the friction among the countries. Then I'll move my argument. The first argument is about the economical damage occurred by the demonstration and riot. I'd like to tell you the complaint of Japanese leads to the demonstration and riot, and this leads to the bad influence on economy and our life. I'll explain why this process happened. However, before I explain this process, I want you to remember these 2 points. The first point is that the Japanese has a horrible image for nuclear bomb because we thought again and again the nuclear bomb is dangerous because we experienced the Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And the second point is we experienced the accident of the Fukushima Daini nuclear power plant. Because of this, many people had a horrible experience, and this accident carved a horrible image about the nuclear bomb in the Japanese mind. Please remember this point. Sorry. Then, if we make the nuclear bomb under this condition, under this condition is that Japanese people oppose the nuclear bomb. Then people will feel uneasy or have the destruction. These deep destruction are, for example, the people will think where government will put the nuclear bomb or how the Japanese life will be. And if these deep destruction can't be removed from the people's mind, even by a grant or the government word, it's safe. The nuclear bomb don't have the danger. Actually, after the Fukushima Daini nuclear power plant, people try to make nuclear power plant abolished, and the demonstration happened all around Japan. Even if electric power company said the nuclear power plant is safe, and nuclear power plants that have no danger. And even if they receive the grant from Japanese government. Nuclear bomb much more dangerous than nuclear power plant. It can kill the much more people than it. And if under this under this condition, Japanese government make nuclear bomb, then people will hold a very big demonstration or riot. And then this riot will lead to the transportation system paralysis or do serious damage in our economy. And then government cannot help but agreeing to the nation's will. So nation's will means they don't want to have the nuclear bomb. Then, therefore, the government can't make nuclear bomb. And in the end, the nuclear bomb isn't made. And this policy can lead to just a chaos condition. And then I'll move my second argument. The second argument is about the friction among countries. In this argument, I'll explain it to you that the friction leads to the serious damage to our Japanese economy. Why? This is because other countries will apply the economic sanctions against Japan. As you know, Japan is an importing country and Japan don't have enough resource. Therefore, if the other countries apply the economic sanction against Japan, then we can't survive. We Japanese economy will shrink. We have to avoid this condition. All these reasons shows that having the nuclear bomb can't give the Japanese a profit. So we strongly oppose this motion. Thank you.
That speech was 7 minutes 6 seconds. So thank you very much for your speech. And we now reverse order, and the opposition team will give its reply speech first. So we call the leader of opposition to give the opposition reply speech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and hello everyone in this house. First, I'd like to summarize this debate. The government side insists that nuclear bombs have deterrent power. However, we don't believe so. And the government side said that Japan has to protect its citizens by itself. And after taking this plan, this aim can be attained. But we don't believe so, and I will explain the reason again. Now under the status quo, Japan is protected by America, and America works as a deterrent, and other nations cannot easily attack Japan because America is a very strong country and have a lot of big military force. However, after taking this plan, as I said, America might not help Japan because American people say if Japan has a nuclear bomb, we don't have to protect Japan anymore. So do it yourself, Japan. Like that, America might not help Japan. So we believe that after taking this plan, if America does not help Japan, Japan has to protect its land with its military forces. But as I said, Japan cannot use will not use a nuclear weapon because, as I said, no country have used a nuclear bomb after the tragedy happened in 1945. So we strongly believe that Japan will not easily use nuclear weapon, and other nations know that Japan will never use it. So other nations may attack to Japan. So if this situation happens, who will protect Japan? Japan has to protect its nation without using nuclear bombs. So Japanese military force itself is pretty weak, and if Japan want to improve their military force, Japan has to gather more soldiers from Japan. And so the government might have to introduce conscription, might force young people to enter the army. So this is a pretty big risk for Japan. So this plan has a pretty big risk for Japan, and we strongly believe that nuclear weapons don't have a deterrent power. And my partner explains that in the first place, this plan cannot be taken. For example, people will make a riot or a demonstration around Japan, because, of course, people never want to live in the area where nuclear bombs are put, of course. So local people will absolutely reject to government plan to put the nuclear weapon to the area. So most area will reject to the plan, and they will make a demonstration, and this will cause a big damage to Japanese society. And as I said, Japan has opposed other nations possessing a nuclear weapon for a long time. So if Japan suddenly changed its attitude and admit to have a nuclear weapon, other nations might insist on having nuclear weapons as well. And the number of nuclear weapons around the world will increase, and that will cause another harm to the global level. So we strongly believe that this plan does not work as a deterrent and cause a lot of other harms. So we shouldn't take this plan. Thank you.
That was 4 minutes and 10 seconds. Thank you very much for your reply speech. And we now call the government reply speaker, the Prime Minister, to end this debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and hello everyone in this house again. First, I want to confirm the one point. We strongly believe this motion because we strongly support this motion because we have to protect our country for ourselves. This is the most important point because the now under status quo around Japan the situation is very dangerous because Korea and North Korea and China and so on have a nuclear bomb. So this situation is very dangerous. So Japan's situation is very dangerous. So to protect from this situation, we have to possess nuclear bomb. So then I refute the member of opposition. First, the member of opposition says that Japan, almost all people have horrible image to this weapon, but so we should not possess this weapon. But it doesn't stand because now under the status quo in Japan, Japanese government have America's nuclear bomb. But however the Japanese don't do harm of it. So the trouble don't happen. So their argument doesn't stand. Second is about economics. So after taking this, the opposition side said after taking this plan, we cannot. The Japanese economies will shrink. Will become to be small, but it also doesn't stand because because other foreign country, especially America, hope Japan Japan possess nuclear bomb because they want to leave their military power from Japan. Because it takes a lot of money. So after taking this plan, the Japanese economies don't become too small. So our government's side's argument is first. Our government's argument is national defense, and second is equality negotiation. So as I said before, the situation of around Japan is very dangerous. So we to protect Japanese citizens, we should possess nuclear bomb. But the opposition side ignores this dangerous situation. So their argument is escape from reality. So for this reason, we strongly support this motion. Thank you.
That was 4 minutes 12 seconds. Thank you very much for your reply speech. And thanks to both teams. So debaters, please cross the floor and shake hands. So we have one more thing to do before lunch, and that's think about the debate and what we heard. And if you took notes like I did, maybe you didn't take notes like I did, but you should have taken some notes. So I think this is my last slide in the presentation. This is the last step. Discuss these questions with a partner. Let's read the questions all together first. Are you ready? Are you ready, everybody? Yes? No? Yes? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, go. Number 1. What was the strongest argument you heard from each side? Second? Which side had a clearer vision for the future? Third, which side had more logical and organized set of arguments? And fourth, which side supported its arguments with better explanations and evidence? So those are sort of 4 sub-questions you consider. Finally, it all adds up to 5, which is what? Who won? Right. So opposition team, government team, you can also discuss with your partner. What did you think was your best argument? What did you think was their best argument, right? Okay, everybody stop. So we have 15 minutes until lunchtime. And I'm going to give a little bit of feedback about the debate, and then I'm going to ask you guys what you thought also. So when you're judging a debate, like there are a lot of ways to judge the debate. This is one good way to think about it, is like which side had which strong argument, and then think about like which side had a clearer vision, which side seemed to be like making a complete case, like this is what we want to happen, this is why, and then also which side had the specific arguments more logical. Another way to think about it is in terms of where did the two sides agree and where did they disagree, right? So one thing both sides agreed on is they want Japan to be safe, right? So safety, but they have different plans. There's a big clash in this debate. Like, is a nuclear weapon going to be more safe? This side says more safe. Or is a nuclear weapon going to be less safe, right? This side says less safe. I think that's a big clash. There are also some things where they didn't really clash. They didn't really listen to each other carefully enough. So like this side said something, it was one of their good arguments about how Japan, if it has a nuclear weapon, it will have more equality. Did this side say anything about that? No, you didn't, right? This side said some things about like if Japan starts to get a nuclear weapon, other countries will want to get nuclear weapons. right? Japan always was telling all the countries not to get nuclear weapons. Did this side say anything about that? No, right? So there are some things that they didn't really answer each other on. So that's another way you can look at the debate. Like, where did they clash? Like, is nuclear weapon going to be more safe or less safe? Is it going to make Japan independent? Is it going to deter other countries from attacking? Or is it going to make the US just say, oh, well, you're on your own, your small self-defense force plus your one nuclear bomb, you have to use that to attack all of China if China wants to have a war with you, right? That's their argument. So that's the big clash in this debate, I think, is which one is safer. But there are also some other points that we have to consider. Like if we think, because even though they clashed on that, there are a lot of things they didn't really answer each other about, I think. There was like an economic argument here. They did answer it in the reply speech, a little bit, but not a lot. But then that's sort of, in this type of debating, in North American style, where you have just two people with major speeches, the second speaker here, he has a chance to say a lot of extra stuff, and they only have a really short speech to answer it, right? It's sort of an advantage for this team. The way we usually debate in Korea is 3-on-3, and then there's a third speech where you're not supposed to bring in any new arguments. So both teams have more of a chance to sort of tie things together a little bit more. But anyway, okay, so that's my comment. Like, I think the big clash is safety or defense. And then I think there are a few other arguments. So in this kind of debating, sometimes you don't have specific information, like concrete numbers or facts, because you don't remember exactly, even if you read it in the newspaper, right? But, yeah, that's always helpful. So sometimes debaters carry like a book they call an almanac, like a book with some data, a statistics book. It's sometimes a good thing. Like actually, I know Australia, they publish an almanac that Australian debaters use. In the US, they publish, there are a couple different companies. So they have information. Like it has maybe a list of all the countries with nuclear weapons and how many nuclear weapons they have, or something like that. Or it has a list of number of people who died in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, or those kinds of information. So yes, those could make it more powerful if you have that information.
Can you give me the
Yes.
spelling of the book, almanac?
Oh, almanac? Sure. It's almanac. Almanac. It means like a listing of basic data. If you look, actually these days, right, we have the internet. So if you Google almanac, you'll see, even probably there are online almanacs. There are some other websites, America has the CIA fact book online that has CIA, not secret information, but anyway, CIA information about every country, things like that. So this is a good reference, but there's a special rule in debating. You're not allowed to use a computer to search. You have to have it printed. You have to have material with you. But very serious debaters, they have an almanac, and they also have a file where they collect important news articles. So very important, in Japan, the biggest news to me, from a foreigner's point of view, is that you shut down your last nuclear power plant. Now Japan is 100% non-nuclear, right? That information came up in the opposition case. Because of Fukushima, we know that nuclear power is dangerous. Nuclear bombs even more dangerous. The logic might be a little weak there because nuclear power and nuclear bombs, it's a different situation, right? But it sounded sort of impressive when they said that, I think. So anyway, yeah, that's big news. So if I was really a serious debater, if I wanted to be a champion, I would probably cut out an article that gave a summary of Japan's nuclear power situation, and so the good side, right, is now nobody really believed it could happen. Japan was using, was it about 30% of its energy from nuclear power? And people thought, oh, no way they can ever cut it off. But they did. You did. Congratulations. But on the other hand, now CO2 emissions are up, right? So Japan is not meeting its targets anymore to stop global warming. So anyway, but it's a very interesting issue, and I'm sure in a debate tournament that issue will come up. and that I could use that information if I had a copy in my file. So that's what really champion debaters do. They keep a file, and at their team practices, you know, every week they have like sort of short reports that people give about the latest issues. Maybe one person covers Asia, and one person covers Europe, and one person covers America, and they you know, distribute each other the important news articles and things like that. So that's something you can do as a debater. If you have printed sources, you can look at them in your preparation. Or even while the other person's speaking, you can be flipping through your source and going like, aha, you know. Like nuclear plants, the number of nuclear power plant accidents in Japan over the past 10 years, or small incidents included, like, you know, 1,321. Number of nuclear bomb accidents in the world, 0. That defeats your point, right? The only time nuclear bombs ever killed anyone was when the US dropped it on Japan intentionally. Maybe. Actually, maybe in developing and making nuclear bombs there were some accidents. I don't know. But anyway, like something like that, right? So if you do have that information, yes, it can make you more powerful. Let's quickly run through these questions then. What was strongest argument you heard from government side? By ourselves, because in the future we don't know what the US will do. And they had some support, right? US, they have economic problems, they want to take their troops home. I agree, I think that's their strongest argument. Okay, how about strongest argument for opposition? I would say actually, I think their strongest argument was the one you mentioned first. The idea that Japan, if Japan gets a nuclear weapon, then there's already an arms race. I mean, I think you guys could have developed this one more, right? Like, there's already an arms race in Asia. Like, people are buying, like, warships, right? Especially because China has more warships, and China is being aggressive in its Navy policy. And so people are buying warships. People are developing missiles because North Korea has missiles, so everyone wants to build more missiles. If we get nuclear bombs, okay, South Korea will want one. You know, maybe Taiwan will want one. Philippines, I don't know, right? Like, I thought that was actually a pretty good argument, even though you're right. Like, there are already a lot of other countries that have one, but I still thought that was their best. What about you guys? Not sure? I also thought they had a good rebuttal, which is like the idea that if, like, nobody has ever used a nuclear weapon really to defend their country, right? So even if Japan has one, will it really be a deterrent? Will it really be effective to protect Japan against a big country like China or Russia or something? I thought that was a pretty good argument too. So a little bit balanced. This side had more arguments. Each one was a little bit weaker, right? This side had two pretty strong arguments, I thought. Okay, anyway, clearer vision for the future. Which side? This side or this side? What's their vision for the future? What do they want to see happening in the future? So they just want to see the same situation as now, right? Why is now such a good situation? I don't think they really had a vision. I think this side is the only side that had a vision, to be honest. That we have to take care of ourselves. The future is not certain unless we take care of ourselves. I thought they had a better vision. Strongest arguments, I thought their arguments were stronger, like I said, but I thought they had more of them. I don't know if either side wins point 1. Point 2, I think this side wins. Point 3, which side had more logical and organized set of arguments? Maybe negative, I think. They had like a whole list of like political and economic and military, and they were pretty organized. And which side supported its argument with better explanations and evidence? I think you're right. Both sides were a little bit vague. Like, you know, where is all this big threat? Like, why do we need to protect Japan anyway? Who wants to attack Japan? North Korea keeps launching missiles, but really, like, do they do any damage? Like, you know, is North Korea going to invade? I don't think so, right? A little vague.
About North Korea, if the North Korea success to their launch a missile, Japan will be damaged.
Really? How? And also even negotiating with the US, I thought it was the logic is really good. It's a good point, but you weren't very specific. Like Okinawa, yes, there are problems, we know, but you didn't explain a lot, right? I thought this side supported its arguments better. I thought they had better, more complete reasoning. They explained like why things would happen. Like, well, if the U.S., some of your arguments I don't think quite made sense, right? Like, you know, if the U.S. doesn't protect us, if we protect ourselves, then our force is small, then we have to draft people, then we might all have to fight, then we might be, I don't know, like that's such a long chain of possibilities. That one didn't persuade me a lot. But the idea of like why nuclear weapons are dangerous because of Fukushima, even though that's a little illogical, but you know, yeah, okay, it had some impact. And because if a bomb explodes, it's even worse than Fukushima, and we just got rid of nuclear things, and I thought they explained in a little more detail. So anyway, it's not a clear win for either team, I think. This team did better in their vision. They did better in having like a couple really strong arguments, one of which this side never rebutted, the idea of equal negotiating power, which was a good argument. This side did a little better in adding some more details and explanations and the situation between Korea, Japan, and other countries that maybe want to have weapons, but Japan says no, and situation between Japan and the US, and they explained in a little more detail, I thought. So who do you vote for? How many people for government? Raise your hands. Nobody? How many people for opposition? Raise your hands. A few. How many people don't know? Raise both hands. How many people didn't raise your hand? Raise your hands. Come on, you never raised your hand. Admit it. Equal, you're not sure? Yeah, okay. My decision, if I had to make a decision, I'd give it to opposition. I think government never convinced me quite that there was just a real danger here. Like, they never convinced me there was a need for their plan. And although there would be maybe some small advantages, that you never really convinced me that the extra negotiating power would have any really solid benefit. Like, I didn't really know how that would help. You said, Japan always has to do what the U.S. wants. What? What does it have to do? Why does that hurt us right now, right? So I think if you had just given me a little more detail, like things the U.S. forces Japan to do that Japan doesn't want to do, like maybe like spend money on invading Iraq or things like that, right? Like Japan pays for a lot of things that the U.S. wants to do around the world, right? It's actually true. I think the logical argument, I think I support this team, actually. But I don't think they explained it enough to really convince me. I think this team gave me some more detailed explanations. Even though sometimes I questioned your logic, I thought you were more persuasive in this debate overall. Okay? That would be my decision. But I think it's very, very close. So if anybody voted, I'm surprised nobody voted for government. I think you should. Like it should be like more like maybe, like 6-3 or 5-4 or, something fairly close like that. Or whatever our numbers are. I don't think it should be like, I don't think everybody should vote for opposition. Like I would vote for them, but I'm like a little uncertain because I think this team had a more complete picture of what they wanted in this debate. This team had a lot of little arguments that sort of were well done, but didn't add up to a big picture. Like why are things so great right now also, right? Why should we just keep on going the way we're going? Okay, how does that, I think you need more of a vision on this side, okay? So my advice to you guys is more detail. My advice to you guys is more complete vision of what you want in the future, all right? That's how a lot of debates go. If we could really solve these problems, right, like nuclear weapons or no nuclear weapons, or, if politicians could solve these problems in 45 minutes of debating, they would be solved. We wouldn't have to debate them, right? But politicians debate all the time, and they still can't solve these problems, right? So that's why a lot of debates are actually quite close, because both sides do have good arguments. And being intelligent people, as these guys are, they thought of some of those good arguments on both sides. Sometimes the debate will be very one-sided, or one other side. Sometimes a team will just totally mess up, or get confused and not know what to say, right? But usually they're quite close. So judging in a debate is actually a very hard job. These 4 guys will all be judging you tomorrow when you do your practice debates. Or at least 3 of them, I think. Because we need well, maybe 2. Anyway, we need 5 or 6 judges to judge you guys as you're debating, all the new debaters, right? And, so you had your chance to judge them. They're going to get their chance to judge you. I think we should give them another round of applause, though, because it was an interesting debate, and it brought up some good issues, and it really illustrated the whole idea of what debating's all about. Thank you very much, everybody.